happens when you start, and I'm not referring to Tessa, Sandman, or anybody. I'm just saying, like in general, with what we're seeing in the world. When you start from the point of I'm morally superior than you because fill in the blank, fill in the blank, fill in the blank. And those fill in the blanks are all revolving around some kind of segment of the population or segment of thought or philosophy. Well, you didn't, if you're going to mention that philosophy and that segment of the population, but you didn't mention this one, that one, or the other one, ergo, there we go again, linear logic, right? You must be a racist or a bigot of some kind or something, because that sentence you just spoke allows me to now encapsulate your entire life, your entire career, and smear you with it however I want. And never mind that all those skeletons I have in my closet because I don't adhere to the same things or half the things that you don't. This is what identity politics and virtue signaling and all the rest of it gets you, right? Being woke. The funny part is I'll have a debate with anybody that claims to be woke and on the issues, but the only one rule: got to stick to facts. And when you stick to facts, not a sliding fact or not somebody's interpretation of a fact, or California state education that says we're no longer adhering to scientific method in our classrooms. We're going to go with this thing called scientific theory. Wow. Truly the fucking bizarro world. I mean, remember when they fired up the CERN Large Hadron Collider in CERN, France? And, Stephen Hawking and several other physicists worldwide were saying that it was going to open a mini black hole and suck the Earth into it and Earth. Well, I think the sucking the Earth in is true. It happened, but we've been sucked into some kind of alternate reality that, you have the Mandela effect and you have all this kind of insanity bullshit that people are yelling and screaming over. Yeah, I attended a counter rally to a rally that was here in Beaver County that people were bussed into from two counties over. They weren't even from here. And they were chanting back against us that were just there, just waving the American flag, Russian agents. So how you make the leap from people waving the American flag to chanting Russian agents, man, it's as insane as it sounds, perfectly normal by today's standards. Nothing to see here.
It's crazy.
Did you see what Rhino said, Shane?
No, I'm sure I'm going to love it, though.
Yes. Rhino, who works for Impact Wrestling,
Yeah.
who obviously was there when Tessa won the title, he said on his Facebook page, his real Facebook page, he said the whole thing with Sandman was blown up, not true, to the point where he just felt that this was somewhat of a karma coming back to bite her in the ass. And while it was, historic and this huge moment, he felt that it was kind of the right thing happened and the universe right itself, because you don't do stuff like that and call out guys like that to try to make a name for yourself for a story that isn't true. So I just thought that was interesting. He wasn't pro Tessa when he worked there. So there's no game or lie with him. So he's telling the truth. He must know what's going on.
Yeah. I was in the building the night that happened. Was not privy to 90% of it. I just heard sort of the aftermath. And to be fair, Tessa came up to me a few minutes later and apologized. I think showing the kind of respect that she thought she had to show, or that she believed was right to show. I was completely ignorant to it. So it was like coming into a conversation after two people have been talking for 20 minutes and you hear the last 20 seconds and you're really not qualified to get into the conversation, nor are you qualified to point a finger and say this one was right, that one was wrong, vice versa. I heard Sandman on Saturday talk about this on the cable show that we were on, and he claimed that I've known Sandman for quite a while, and I know him. The funny thing about Sandman is he's not a bullshitter. He'll come out and he'll tell you warts and all. Like he'll tell you, like, if he walked into a museum and drunkenly tripped in and broke a priceless vase, he wouldn't say, "Hey, the vase was broken when I got there." He'd say, "Yeah, I was drunk and I fell and knocked over the vase, and goddamn, it was in my way." It's that's Sandman. He claims, and again, I'm just repeating what Sandman was saying, that he walked over and overheard the girls and didn't really know them, and asked them what match they wanted, and they said last. Uh, he had said that they were being set up for a fuck or something like that. Again, I know someone's gonna come out and jump on this and say I misquoted something or whatever, and I know so little of the story, but he claimed that the reason he said that was that there had been Tessa was supposed to be in that match and had been pulled because of an injury she had gotten a night or two before, and Sandman made the point that that's not being fair. I'm paraphrasing in my words, his words. That it's not being fair to the fans. The fans are going to shit on it. Tessa, from her explanation that night in the building, thought that he was being disrespectful to women's wrestling, and so I think both of them, and Sandman was coming from a point of ignorance of not really knowing the full story, and Tessa was coming from a point of ignorance of not really hearing Sandman's intention of what he was saying or the full comment of what he said. And that's usually what happens when two people get into a fight and they don't have the full information at their fingertips. It's always why yours truly does due diligence to make sure I find out. I never just stake a claim, and I've never stuck my foot in my mouth one time in my life.
Never.
Didn't didn't he also say something? Didn't he also say something like Ultimo Dragon or somebody should be main eventing or Muda should be main eventing? Didn't he say something like that? Like, wasn't that a part of it as well, or no?
He, Again, I'm repeating what he said on Saturday on the show. He didn't mention anything about Mood or anybody else. It's at the point that transpired in real time at the WrestleCade, uh, we had come back from the ring not long before, at least I did, and people I worked with in the Battle Royal, and we're getting changed, and I was being talked to by three different people as I was getting changed when this all transpired, and I just heard yelling, and I look up, and Tessa's standing there cutting a promo on Sandman. So I had no idea what it was over, what it was about. We left because we were trying to make it back to the restaurant before they closed. Before I guess there was even a second confrontation backstage. Uh, and later that night, about an hour and a half later, Sandman and the guy he travels with, Pat, came into the Outback where we were eating and was telling us then. But again, Sandman telling you a story, it's not like ABC 1, 2, 3, 2 plus 2. Sandman jumps all over the place when you're telling a story. So after Sandman explaining it to me at Outback, I was about as confused as I was at the building. And it wasn't until Saturday, as Sandman was recounting this to the two hosts of the show, Monty and Pharaoh, that that I sort of started putting together what he had said that night with what I had seen and heard that night, and then with how he was explaining it on that show. So I'm piecing together all these disparate parts, of not having seen any full piece of any of the evidence, and just starting to piece it together. But it's again, I go back to what I said at the top of this answer: is that when you come from a point of I have all the answers, and I think you disrespected me because of this one pixel, and I'm going to jump and go on that and argue and scream. And Sandman, I think, again, no, Sandman, like I know Sandman, probably didn't verbalize as well as he probably should have verbalized in what he was trying to state. But, just remember way back in episode 1, 2, and 3, we were talking about certain things, and I said, hey, everybody just take a deep breath and exhale, and the sun's going to come up tomorrow, and the planet's going to keep spinning. Uh, Same thing will happen here, but boy, oh boy, it just seems like here we are, a couple of years later, and the world's getting more fucked up and more fucking insane by the day, and everybody's pointing fingers and don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. Just turn on the news. Look at any blog site. Look at the comments down below. Right? It's it's comical. How many times like when we email back around, in the thread, how many times do I say it and don't forget to read the comments down below because they're priceless. They're absolutely priceless.
It makes the old world look normal. The old wrestling world, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this is why the Fabulous Moolah ran that girls' camp. You know what I mean? Like this is exactly why all these years later.